So you've been looking at homes and you found one you want to buy. But then you remember you already own a home. How are you going to buy the second one? Well, my name is Sean Larson. I'm a real estate broker, and let's talk about that a little bit. Now, there are some options that are going to let you kind of bridge that gap in between and try to get from home number one to home number two. But the option we're going to talk about today is called a home sale contingency. And in real estate, a contingency is something where one event depends on the success of another event. So a home sale contingency is your agreement to purchase the second home if you can successfully sell your first home. So as you can imagine, both parties, buyers and sellers, look at that a little differently. Because your seller, if they're going to accept an offer like that, well, guess what? They're having to take their home off the market in hopes that you are successful at selling your home. Now, in a really hot market where homes are just moving, most sellers aren't going to accept that. They have enough people and enough demand, they're probably not going to accept that type of contingency offer on their home. Now, they might in a couple of cases. Say, for instance, they haven't found a home yet and they need additional time. Or you might find a seller who is building a home and they've got plenty of time there. You might see some flexibility there, even in a hot market, but you are going to see the acceptance of a home sale contingency more in a balanced market or more in a buyer's market where sellers are a little bit more motivated. Maybe the buyers aren't so plentiful and they have to make some accommodations. So the way a home sale contingency works is that when a buyer submits their offer to a seller, they are going to have a clause in that agreement or in that contract that outlines the terms for that agreement that depends on the successful closing and sale of their current home. So you have both parties coming together, buyer and seller. And when you think about it, both parties kind of want some commitment, but they also want to keep their options open too. So the buyer wants to keep their option open in case their home doesn't sell. Maybe their plans change. Maybe they can't sell now. So they want an option out. So they don't want to be completely obligated. So usually the agreement is going to have some verbiage in there that is going to allow for an out. Now, whether that will include foregoing any money, deposits, earnest money, anything like that, that's going to be a per agreement situation. Now, if we flip over to the seller side, keep in mind the seller is pulling their home off the market. It's essentially under contract at that time. And guess what? Other buyers are probably going to pass it by. Not everybody, but most are. So sellers are looking at that too because they're losing exposure because their home is already under contract. So while they want obligation, they are also looking for options too. So you may see something that we usually refer to as what's called a kick-out clause. And what that is it's virtually a first right of refusal under certain conditions. So let's say you, as the buyer, and the seller agree on a contract that has a home sale contingency in there. The seller may have verbiage in the agreement that says if buyer number two should come along and want to put an offer on a home, they then are allowed to go back to you, buyer number one, and say, we have somebody else. You have whatever period, maybe 24 hours, 48 hours, to remove the contingency and become 100% obligated to the purchase, or we as the seller are allowed to pursue buyer number two and terminate the agreement with buyer number one. So as you can see, both parties in that agreement, they want to be committed, but they want their options too. So it can work really well in some circumstances. So if you need an option that allows you to handle the sale of your current home while going ahead and moving forward on the one you'd like to purchase, keep a home sale contingency option in mind. Make sure the verbiage is written exactly like you need it because you want to ensure everybody understands how the agreement can be dissolved if that should come along. So my name is Sean Larson. I'm a real estate broker. If you want to discuss that option on any property or anything else real estate related, give me a shout and I'll be glad to take care of you. Have a super day.